Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's edition of Late Night Craft Talk. We are live for a very fun show. We're building up to our Christmas show, starting last week and a little bit more this week and a whole bunch more. We're in for some fun.
Okay, it says we are live.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let's see. Oh, it says
We already got a few viewers kicking cool.
You know, it's so funny. It's
What?
Every time, you're saying that this, like, I was trying to do the live setting and it was being weird. So I'm like, I don't know what that is, right? And now it's saying that we have to test it out, but it's saying that you can change your orientation of your videos. That's interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to experiment with that next week. Every time,
Yeah.
folks, every so often Facebook kind of updates and changes the layout and throws new options. And then we find out about we're going live, we're going, oh, look at this. Because when you sign on from Zoom, there's like a whole screen you have to fill out.
Yeah.
And it gets interesting.
I was like, wait a second, why would it let me go live?
Yeah. All right,
okay,
I'm
guys,
Sharon.
Share this with your friends.
I'm Sharon. Svea is Sharon. Y'all got to do it too. And hello, the people watching right now. Let me guess. Is Carol Ann out there? Let me hear you, Carol Ann. I know Maya's there. Do we have Vivian? Maya's there. Do we have Jen here? They're usually the first to sign on. Let us know if you're there, or if not, I can say your name. Post a comment. Let's see who you are and where you're from. Because I want to see if we have anybody from South Dakota. Preferably Moab, Utah, because then we'll become friends big time. Or Kanab.
Share this, and actually, and I like to share this in my local group, Escondido Friends, because it is a local group, and I think it's kind of cool that they get to see a live show broadcasting from Escondido in Indio.
And Bullhead City, Arizona.
Oh, yes, you're right.
A little bit pretty soon. All right, 9:57. That clock is ticking down. Hey, Svea.
Yeah.
What are you going to tell Santa you want for Christmas?
It's secret.
I want a pony.
I haven't told anyone what I want for Christmas. Only Santa knows.
I just put it out there. I'm giving personal information, putting myself out there for the crowd, and you're not going to tell us what you want for Christmas.
No.
Well, we know who's the dedicated host.
You know what? Sometimes it's like, when you tell your secret, it won't come true, or your wish, it won't come true.
That's only true of wishing rabbit's feet and chicken bones.
Well, my favorite thing to tell kids when they come and buy lucky rabbit's feet from my store.
This is from the Easter Bunny, and now it's hobbling.
No, I tell them, I said that, why that foot is so lucky? They're like, why? I said, because it's not your foot on that keychain. Think about that.
I like to think that it's just, Western brutality to the animal.
Also, yeah, I guess that's true. That is true.
Yeah, I'm being all kinds of weird. Nothing new there.
I know you are really a weird person in general.
I see Maya's posted. Who else?
No.
And where's the DPIT squad at? Oh, come on.
The
more
DBIT
there.
Squad? What's the DBIT squad?
Dancy Bear Indian Trader.
I didn't know that we had a squad.
Apparently, you're meeting the squad president right there.
I guess so. Maya is the squad president.
I don't have a squad. I want a squad.
Well, Maya is the elected squad leader.
I think she's going to be the ninja president.
Ninja president. I like that. Maya, do you like it? You're the ninja president. You've been elected by James to be the ninja president.
No, suggested. All of a sudden, we're going to see next time we see Maya, she's going to be dressed, social distancing, all in black like a ninja, and a black mask going, it's part of the uniform. And I'm being socially conscious.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm eating.
Ninjas are ahead of their time like that.
Are you eating chips?
I'm eating Cracker Jacks.
I'm eating persimmons from Carol Ann.
Hoorah.
Mm-mm.
I need some water. It's 9:59, Svea.
Oh my goodness.
You almost ready?
Mm-hmm.
The countdown's happening.
I know.
Carol Ann's here. Hello, Carol Ann.
Yay, Carolyn! Happy Friday.
Where's Vivian?
I don't know where she is. Maybe she's too busy tearing down a wall in her
I'm
house.
thinking so. Last night during virtual craft night, Vivian was from Kokomo, Indiana. Says, "Watch me." Mutes her microphone, takes a sledgehammer, starts knocking down one of the walls of her craft room to enlarge it. We're like, there is taking out stress.
It was like HDTV, HTV.
10 o'clock.
Oh, it's 10? Okay,
Yep.
all right.
We ready?
Okay. 10,
Okay. 9,
8,
8,
7,
7,
6,
5,
4,
5,
3,
2.
1.
I'm confused. All right, everybody, showtime. Hi, my name is Earl, and I'm the spokesman for Quarantino's Action Sports. And I'm here to tell you about the newest must-have action sports gear, the Quarantine Cam Wowie 2. This is the perfect camera for all your point-of-view action sports needs. This camera features a 1500 milliampere lithium ionized battery, f2.4 lens, 5K video resolution with 30 FPS, ISO 100 to 1000, wide angle and linear settings, auto cleaning with Windex enhanced protective tempered glass cover, car washing and dishwashing capabilities, walks your dog, doubles as a tax accountant, general practice physician, plays MP3 and MP4 audio music, automatic GPS orienteering, life coach capabilities, and streaming video to multiple multimedia platforms. I don't know what all that means, but I'm pretty sure that it does also take pictures and video. You can use the Quarantino Cam Wowie 2 for your hang gliding adventure, canoeing, base jumping, astronaut spacewalk, and multiple other action sports adventures. This camera is shockproof, operable from temperatures between 45 and 90 degrees. I'm not sure if that's Fahrenheit or Celsius. It is also splash resistant, wind resistant, angry old guy yelling get off my lawn proof, and resistant to COVID-19 aerial droplets from a asymptomatic person. This means that you'll have to wear a mask, but the camera doesn't. This camera sure does a whole lot of crazy action sports stuff, but is also perfect for everyday life tasks such as seeing if the light works on your oven, your refrigerator, watching your water boil in the microwave, and streaming 10 straight hours of your cat sleeping live over the internet. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff with the Quarantine Cam Wowie 2, except go underwater, because this camera is everything but waterproof. Am I gonna have to pay for this? It's time for Late Night Craft Talk with hosts Svea Yang and James Hermings. This week's special guest, Helen Howard from the Grand Canyon Private Boaters Association. Is the Die Hard movie from the 1980s with Bruce Willis considered an action movie or a Christmas movie? Here's what I think. I think it's an action-filled Christmas. It's time to start the show. Hey, Svea.
Hey, James, how you doing?
I'm deep pondering thought right now.
Yeah.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie or an action movie?
It's really not a Christmas movie. I think guys think it's a Christmas movie just because it takes place during Christmas time.
Good enough for me.
There's no actual relevance to Christmas to it.
Hello, it's during Christmas time. And you know what?
We're saving the office party? Is that what it is?
Yes. And the Nakatomi Towers. I just say Christmas movie. And I will justify by just saying the word Roadhouse. Okay. Everybody,
right.
welcome. Were you going to say me first? You first.
Okay, well, I'm just going to say, okay, you guys, if you haven't joined us before, just want to tell you guys this show that we're doing, we do every week. It's actually something we've done for a while because we want to kind of support local artists and bring out interesting things for you guys to find out about. So we've had interesting people on. We've had all kinds of different things on. I mean, for small businesses, and groups and different things. So this week we have a really interesting guest. So I'm very excited about that. And of course, we are kind of doing this for you as our business. So we want to, kind of just throw a shout out about our companies. So, hey, James, tell us about Hellcrack. What you guys have been doing?
All right. A lot of updates to the website this week. Finally, don't have a lot of custom orders that came in the last week, so they've actually been able to work on stuff for the website. And I haven't done this in a while, but I'm going to go ahead and show some of the items we made this week. And I'm going to be, what are you eating?
Ice cream. Go ahead.
Do I get any?
Here, I can give you some. Here.
Yeah, I don't have anything. Here, thank you for the ice cream.
You're welcome.
Dr. Jacks.
Okay, so tell us about your website.
I've been able to, I had a very nice knife day last Monday. It was a knife day.
Yeah,
here's my joke.
Wait, hurry up.
Almost. These are 6 and 7 inch blades, or average 6 inch blade obsidian knives. That's not coming in real clear from the looks of it right here, but and I was able to make some nap some obsidian points and make some bigger knives. I'm going to be carving on some antler over the weekend on a couple some new ones, but I've been able to do that, and I have not been able to make them in a few months till I finally got a batch of feathers in. My fan club.
Yay!
The start of the fan club. These are on the internet, my website now, and I'm going to be making a couple more. Not like the drum baking class. That was another joke. But I'll be making a few more of these over the next few days and getting them up on the website. I want to get them before Christmas, but I got them up and add more members to the fan club.
Yay!
And have another knife day this week. Ooh.
Yes.
Also, we're showing. Probably not going to come out back on the webcam, but I started these on a live yesterday. I've been talking about mounting leather cabochons into leather. Turquoise cabochons in leather. Getting tongue-tied. Getting them done.
Wow.
Finished them this morning. Oh, these are cool.
Oh, cool.
Friends, going to be putting some on some necklaces made with juniper berry beads and dentalia. That will look so cool. I'm like itching for the chance to finally be able to do that tomorrow afternoon or evening.
Cool.
And anybody that's just as a thank you for anybody watching the show, we've got our supporters. We were talking earlier. This is probably show number 30 or 300,000.
Over 30.
Over 30 and under 300,000. As the thank you for watching the show, if you go to elcracktraders.com, type in the coupon code FB, as in Facebook, FB10 off. FB10 OFF. And you get 10% off one item on the website, with the exclusion of the bison skulls or power dance sticks, because those are large item shipping. But as a thank you for doing that, I put the coupon code up earlier because I think it's just a cool way to thank our viewers for supporting us.
Yes.
I have a lot way to go. So how's Dancing Bear doing?
We're doing good. We actually have been working really hard on the website, really, really hard. I have someone that helps take pictures every week, and we add sometimes like 200 pictures every week, new items. And finally, we're starting to become at a point where we have pretty much almost all of our beads on the wall on our website.
From the 40-foot bead wall on the website now.
Well, the 40-foot bead wall is already on the website. I'm talking about all the other stuff that we have. And we also just got in over 100 new items of check cut beads and shaped beads and buttons and cabochons, and it's just been crazy. So we are doing appointments still. And remember, guys, I mean, we're coming upon Christmas. If you guys want Christmas presents, this is definitely the time to be ordering. I'm sure you guys are all ordering and doing a lot of shipping this year because a lot of people are not going to see family. We have our discount code too, that we'll share here. And I'm not trying to one up you, James, but
No, we're two separate businesses. One bent on sharing, one doing craft supplies, one bent on world domination
Yes.
and tacos.
So our coupon code that's good through this entire month is December. It's DEC 15 off. DEC 15 off. That is our code for 15% off the website for items that are eligible. There's a few things that aren't, like the bulk items, like the half kilos and whatnot of beads, because those ones were already more discounted than 15% off.
You're not trying to show me up and all of a sudden you went 15%?
I know, that's what I said. I hope you don't think I'm trying to show you.
I'm not changing the coupon code real quick because that's a lot of work. And I got to attest, just putting a handful of items is a lot of work, and I DIY on my own website.
But the thing is, James, you're doing it all yourself and you make all of the things. So like,
I am a full-time job.
Supplies, you sell finished goods. It's a little different.
Yeah, I am a full-time job. All right.
Yes.
We good?
Yes.
All right. Okay, everybody, we've had our past guests have been flute. We've had flute, Native American flute players. We've had D.D. Chonsky, our actor and Hollywood producer. We've had Svea getting an ice cream headache, I hope, pretty soon. Yeah, take a big bite and do a bunch right quick. Just go. We've had CEOs, we've had different business executives on the show. Tonight we have somebody that kind of goes, because I like, sometimes I've had like clips of me kayaking and whatnot. Tonight we have a good friend I've learned a lot from, fellow river runner. Tonight's guest is Helen Howard from the Grand Canyon Private Boaters Association. She is a legend in the paddling community tonight. It's our great pleasure to have her. So let me go ahead and show a little clip of Helen. She's going to be talking about Grand Canyon Private Boaters Association as well as her experience in the Grand Canyon, mostly building what's called a whitewater dory, which you're going to learn about. Mm-hmm. So let me go ahead and get a little intro here for Helen, and we'll bring her in. So many buttons.
I'm stopping your video for you.
Yep, thank you. I was about to do that. Did you just belch?
I think that was you.
No, that was you, girl.
No, I don't burp.
Really fast.
I don't burp.
Yeah, you did. Ladies and gentlemen, this week's special guest, Helen Howard from the Grand Canyon Private Boaters Association. Helen, come on down.
Oh my goodness.
Love how my hat, the chroma keys being funky tonight with the lights and make my hat disappear. Yeah, Helen,
know, right?
unmute. And I saw you unmute.
There she is.
I'm here.
Hi,
thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed that little video. I'm not sure had ever seen it before, but thank you.
I got the video from a very awesome person who was sitting behind you in the Susie 2, the dory.
Right.
The guy was incredible. He gave it to me for free, gave me all rights to use it.
I'm very thankful.
Apparently, I'm my own biggest fan.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So
I wish I had a video of you the sooner, but that's the only one I could grab the quickest stuff.
That's okay.
But
how are you guys doing
awesome
tonight?
Doing all right. Good. Now that you're on. So, Helen, tell us about the Boating Association.
Okay. Grand Canyon, for a long time, if you were a private boater, they started doing commercial trips through the Grand Canyon in about 1969. Some people had done them before, but the park really made the people who were doing commercial trips really get permits to do them, and that started in 1969. Starting way back, there were private boaters, but in order to get down there, you had to have some experience in Grand Canyon, or you had to write to the superintendent to get permission. This kind of, it got easier to get a permit in the 1970s. For example, in 1969, I did my first trip in Grand Canyon, which was when I was 20, 52 years ago, 51 years ago. And it was the sort of thing that we had to have along with us a boater who was considered a qualified boater who had done the trip before. That was the only way you could go down as a private boater, or you had to go with a commercial boater. And they found that there were an awful lot of people who've been doing whitewater rafting, whitewater dorying, whitewater kayaking, and things like this, who had the skills to do this. And so the demand really grew a long time. The demand also grew for commercial trips. So in the 1990s, everyone wanted more trips. And the park basically determined that they were going to do an environmental impact study on it to determine what the carrying capacity of the river was, and then to determine who got a chance to go. And of course, the commercial companies wanted most of the trips, and the private boaters wanted most of the trips. So they had to determine how it was going to happen. They established a wait list. Basically, you wrote in and you asked to be put on the wait list. When I wrote in the year 2000, I was number 7,580. And they told me that I was going to get a trip somewhere in the neighborhood of 2028 when I would be 80 years old. This really wasn't what I wanted, and there were a lot of other people who felt the same way. So there was a lot of jockeying around to try to get the park to do something that was more equitable. So they added a whole bunch more private boater slots every year, which normally they allow 502 different trips of either 16 people or 8 people to launch on the private boater side. And then basically they decided they were going to do a weighted lottery, which they do every year in February for the following year. So this coming February, we'll be trying to get trips for 2022. And now we have more than 10,000 a year people who go down in private trips, and a few more than 10,000 who go down in commercial trips. Private trips can go any month of the year. Commercial trips operate between the 1st of April and the 1st of November. Private trips usually are road trips. You go down with a paddle or oars and you row yourself down. Every once in a while, you can get a permit to use a motor in the canyon. Most of the commercial trips are divided between trips that are road, where it's all people powered, or ones that are motorized ones. The motorized ones tend to be shorter in duration. They can do a whole canyon trip in 7 days. Most of the road trips on the commercial end at 14 days. Private boaters can go between 16 days in the summertime to 25 days in the fall and 30 days in the wintertime. So if you really want to spend time in the canyon, you want to go on a private trip. But they're kind of hard to get, and with the weighted lottery, they give more weight to people who haven't been in the canyon in the past year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. So they give you extra points up to a number of 5. And we advocate with the park. We're a 501c3, and we advocate with the park and have been doing so since about 1996 for access and the resource protection, and for our members to get the types of trips that they want to be in Grand Canyon. And so that's basically about the Private Boaters Association.
I had no idea that existed at all. I mean, you're just like, whoa, I had no idea.
One of the great things about the show is you get to learn all this new stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we have several hundred paid members, and we have almost 8,000 people who are on our Facebook page. And so we, for example, got into a rather heated discussion yesterday on a couple of things on Facebook, and I think we had some comments out there. There was one thread that probably had almost 400 comments on it. So it's sometimes people are a little bit heated about how they feel about things, but we basically serve as a information. We talk to people all the time who are thinking. Right now, what we've got is we've got a lot of people who are going to be thinking about driving down through California to do trips this month and next month. In California's hotels are closed and campgrounds are closed. So we're trying to find routes for a couple of groups who are coming out of Oregon and Washington so they can get down coming through Nevada and make it down to get their trip out. without having to drive 24 hours to get through California because there's no room at the inn for them, basically. When they closed down the park, like they did for 2.5 months, we worked with the park to try to get those people who were denied access to the park in an equitable fashion. So it's something that we really love doing, and it's kind of fun to meet everybody. I'm over at Lee's Ferry probably 6 or 7 times a year, and I'm at Pierce Ferry an equal number, usually meeting friends or dropping off friends at the canyon. But we hear a lot from other people who've been on the water, and we get to see a whole bunch of pretty pictures, which is nice. My first saw dories in the canyon in 1974, and I was on a trip from the Salt Trail on the Little Colorado River over through to Tanner. And we saw some Grand Canyon dories, which were started by Martin Litton. They went by in the water below us, and I just looked at those and I just said, "Oh, wow."
I know it's going to
one of those.
I'm going to be looking forward to be able to show people some pictures of what a dory actually looks like.
Yeah. So James,
Susie too.
Let's show pictures. Do you want to show pictures of what a dory is?
I think we do, but there's one thing I actually want to. One of the things about our show that's unique is that not only do we talk about business and bring in inspiring guests who have great stories like Helen to tell, but occasionally we also look and we're always seeking new sponsors every week. And one of the things we've also started doing, especially during the holiday season, to try to recognize those people that work for the betterment of their company, whatnot, that we've actually hired out, and we're performing now job performance reviews on Late Night Craft Talk. And Helen, this week you volunteered as an elf on Santa's sleigh, did you not?
The Bullhead City Police Department, Fraternal Order of Police, does a Santa sleigh here in Bullhead City. And they need volunteers to help get the children up so that they can talk to Santa. And so for the last 3 nights, and then for 3 nights next week, I am an elf. And I have a red and green costume, and I have bells, and I have a red hat, and I help kids get up and walk on a flatbed truck that we have a sleigh and reindeer on, that we go around to several locations every evening so that the kids can hop up on there and tell Santa what they want.
Gotcha.
So I've been an elf for the last 3 nights, and it's been a lot of fun.
I bet you. Right quick, just a quick sidebar. Craig Mahura says, hello, James and Helen. Hello, Craig.
Hey, Craig. Good to see you.
Great mutual friend. All right. So we actually happen to have your boss waiting to come on the show right now.
Oh, nice.
Santa, are you there? Santa!
Oh, Merry Christmas, everyone! I am really glad to be here. So has everybody been good this year?
We've been good.
As much as I can be.
We're trying.
James, I don't believe you.
No promises.
Oh, Helen, so thank you very much for helping out with the Bullhead City Police Department float. It was great. You've done a great job this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Santa.
So just for that, you are going to go ahead and be promoted to shift supervisor.
Oh,
Shift supervisor for the elves.
Well, a part-time job, I mean, she has to run the river, so she can't do this full time. The elves, they work, 12 months out of the year. So.
Gotcha.
Yes.
You catch all that, Helen? Because it looks like your computer might have froze.
It did for a little bit, yes.
Oh, no.
You're promoted to shift supervisor for the elves.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That'll be fun.
Go ahead.
Oh, very good.
So it's one of those things that it's one of those things that's just an incredible volunteer opportunity. And one of the things that I get to do is to look around where we are just to see if anybody's holding back because maybe they're unsure about whether they can come up and see Santa. Last night, for example, we had a little girl who was standing by her parents, and she looked really worried, and she was about 50 feet away. I walked over and I asked, do you want to come see Santa? Because everyone else had pretty much gone through. And she just said, no, I don't think so. And her dad says she's shy. And I said, well, would you like a unicorn? So I went and got a unicorn stuffed doll for her. and then brought over a couple of the police officers who had some of the wrapped gifts in a little blanket and candy and cookies and pretzels and things like that they were giving out. And her look on her face when we handed her that unicorn and everything else just made the whole thing worthwhile. It was just a ton of fun. And I have 3 more nights of getting a chance to do that. Yes, the unicorn we gave her was just like your unicorn, James.
Well, I was given this to by a little girl from Bullhead City.
Oh, nice.
Free gifting.
Thank you.
So, Svea,
Yes.
you've been such a great host this year.
Oh,
for
thank
the
you,
Late
Sarah.
Night Craft Talk. You are going to go ahead and get a trip to Disneyland for you and your employees.
Go Svea.
Thank you, Santa. I love it.
You're welcome.
That's exactly what I wanted. I didn't want to tell anyone. How did you know?
How did I know?
How did you know?
Well, for one thing, you're wearing Disneyland on your chest, are you not?
Yes,
Santa
I-
knows everything. The NSA ain't got nothing on Santa.
And I think I want to also, since I'm here, I'm going to give James a job performance critique.
Oh no.
James, you have
Uh-huh.
to be nice. No throwing things. And your gift this year, because you have been a little bit on the ornery side, you are getting coal for Christmas.
Coal, like charcoal I could put in my barbecue. Carne asada all the way for Christmas. I'm turning coals into charcoal, like lemons to lemonade. Thank you,
I wouldn't
Santa.
really be happy about that if I were you, but you did. You're Mr. James.
Well, like I said, I'm gonna make charcoal and cook carne asada.
Well, you can send some up to the North Pole.
Oh,
Cold.
yeah.
That's why I live in the desert below sea level.
So anyway, I just want to thank everybody for everybody to have a great rest of the year, and you've all done a fantastic job. And I want to say Merry Christmas and have a happy New Year. So Santa's
Merry
got to go.
Christmas.
He's busy. Got to do things to get those elves, whipped into shape. It's not too much longer.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Santa, so
Merry
much
Christmas.
for coming on.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Santa. Bob.
He's a busy dude. Thank you, Santa.
Wow.
That was
How
cool.
did he know that he was going to come on our show? How did he get on our show? You didn't tell me, James.
I wrote him,
Oh, that was nice.
and I promised him a unicorn.
That
All right.
would
With
be
that,
very tempting.
So let's talk about a dory. First off,
Yes.
Some of our viewers may not be familiar with where the Grand Canyon is at, and what exactly it's there. So Helen, I sent you the slides earlier, so you know the lineup now. I'm going to go ahead and do a share screen, and we just talk about a little bit about the canyon and then the history with the dories, and we'll show you see how the slides go. So we're going to go ahead and do that right quick, if you're good with that.
Okay.
All right. So let me get it up. So here we have a map of the Grand Canyon.
Right. The Grand Canyon is in northern Arizona. For a Grand Canyon trip on the river, you're going to launch at a place called Lee's Ferry, and you're going to get out at either Diamond Creek or at Pierce Ferry, which is kind of the very end. The river keeps going on, but there's a waterfall called Pierce Ferry Rapid below where we get out at the launch ramp at Pierce Ferry. It's 277 miles long. And it's an absolutely incredible experience. I've always said that the Grand Canyon is my home, it's my cathedral, and I hope it's going to be my heaven because it's just where I feel the most comfortable in the whole world and always has been. So it's a pretty amazing area. How about going to the next slide?
Okay, let's go ahead and here we go.
A dory is a type of whitewater boat. It has rocker on it, so it goes up in the front and it goes up in the back. My dory is 16 feet 3 inches long from bow to stern. It is a replica of a boat called the Music Temple that was built by Keith Steele in 1962, ordered by Martin Litton. And these are 3 replica boats of the boats that were done for that 1962 trip. They wanted to put a couple of dams in Grand Canyon. Hard to think of now, but there was the Bureau of Reclamation wanted to put more dams in to store water because they thought that the Grand Canyon was useless for anything else. Martin ordered these boats, and they did a couple of books on them and a film, and did a huge publicity campaign with the Sierra Club, et cetera. And Congress voted against putting any dams in the Grand Canyon, and it's now protected, so they can't put dams in the Grand Canyon. So these boats are in honor of the boats that were originally used for that particular era when they were really trying very hard not to get this area dammed. My boat's made out of Meranti plywood, which is Philippine mahogany plywood, which has no voids in it, which means it's a little bit stronger. And it's marine grade plywood, so it's waterproof. My boat also has an awful lot of fiberglass on it because I wanted it built strong. I have ash oars, they're Sawyer oars that I'm doing, and it's painted in the colors that it wore when it went down the river on the 1962 trip. My boat will hold 2 people. All of these boats are smaller boats than what is currently used today, but they each would hold an oarsman and then 1 or 2 passengers.
You ready for the next slide?
Yes.
Okay.
Here's a photograph of the original Susie 2, the original Flavel 2, and the original Portola. And then many of you may have read a book called The Emerald Mile, and you knew of the story of Kenton Grua. This is a photograph that I personally took back in the 1970s, and I was there seeing some friends off on a private trip, and Grand Canyon Dories pulled up on these double-decker trailers, each with 6 boats on it, and offloaded them by pushing them off, and then they plopped down and splashed down in the water. The gentleman in the red pair of pants is Kenton Grua, and that's the Emerald Mile, which is the famous story that Kevin Fedarko made famous in his book called The Emerald Mile that came out about 5 years ago. And if you haven't read it, it's an incredible read about the flooding that went on and a speed run through the canyon in 1983, in June of 1983. Next slide.
Yeah, that boat is a thing, a legend.
It's a legend. Yes, it certainly is a legend. Next slide. And here is the craft part of this, is that we built this. I designed the build of it. I did the measurement on the original boat. And then my 2 really good friends, Tony in the white, and then another gentleman by the name of John Schroeder, helped out with the fiberglass work on it. But we took from September all the way through February 15th to build it. Tony usually worked on it for about 7 or 8 hours during the day. You know, I was working, owning a company called Desert River Kayak in Bullhead City, so we were putting people out. I'd show up to work 4 or 5 hours most evenings, which was a lot of sanding, a lot of painting, and a lot of other stuff. Tony did a lot of the heavy lifting and a lot of the cutting. If I was there to help, that was fine. And then we fiberglassed it. We put the decks on it, put hatches in it, and made it waterproof and painted it up really pretty, and then put her on the water. Next slide. And these are some photographs of her. The one on the left is Susie going through Crystal Rapid.
Whoops, sorry, hold on. Just doing a little zoom in for folks to be able to see it better.
Yep. She dances over the waves incredibly well. She's an amazing boat to row and an amazing boat to be in, and I just really enjoy. I saw the Dories in 1974 when I was on a hike, and I thought to myself, one day I will row those. Well, in 2013, I decided the only way I was going to get a chance to row a dory was to build one, so I did. The one on the right is our trip from 2013, and this is the Paria Riffle. It's the very first rapid on the Grand Canyon after you leave Lee's Ferry. And the other 2 boats are part of our group. We had, on that particular trip, we had 5 wooden boats, and then we had 3 rafts that went along. And the rafts did most of the heavy work with carrying cold food and things like that. And the dories took a lot of the dry gear, because when you go on one of these trips, you have to take all your food for whatever time you're going to be out there, everything you're going to need to cook with, all your camping gear so that you have that, all your warm clothes, because the water is in the 40s the entire trip. This was a trip in March, so it was a little bit chilly, and we also had a stand-up paddleboard on that. That is Stefan on the Poirier on the paddleboard, and he was on the paddleboard. He also helped me row. So that was made for a really good trip. But that was the very first. That's the very first rapid in Grand Canyon.
Is that you rowing the Susie 2 in the upper
Yes.
left through Crystal?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is. Do you have any more?
The 4 slides I sent you. This is the 4th slide.
Okay, this is the last one. Okay, my least favorite rapid in the entire canyon is one called Bedrock, and this actually is one of my photographs. Stefan is taking the Susie 2 at Bedrock. There are 2 ways of going around this rock. You want to go right, which is what he's doing, but he's getting up so close to the rock that my heart was getting ready to stop. This is a rapid that I have only flipped once in 13 trips in Grand Canyon, and it was on this rock. I was on a raft, and we wrapped it on the top of that rock, and then finally it bounced off and it went down the left side, which is really hard to do. It's narrow, it's fast, and there are a lot of rocks sticking out. And it's probably the only time I've been in the canyon where I honestly thought I was going to die right there that day. And it was a real scary experience, and I still have nightmares about it. He actually is going right at Bedrock, which is what he's doing, but he's getting so close to the rock that we were all really concerned that he wasn't going to go right at Bedrock. And then the other one is a little bit farther down in the canyon, and get down to the water. Can you please? That's down in the lower canyon below Diamond Creek. Those are silt beds from when the lake extended up that high. And that's part of the flat water. There's like 50 miles of flat water after you get through with all the rapids. It's still canyon. It's still absolutely gorgeous. But it's not the thrill of the people that go in just for the whitewater. A lot of people will get out at Diamond Creek rather than go on to Pierce Ferry. We always try to go to Pierce Ferry on our trips. And it's just one of those things that's just one of the most magical places on the face of the earth.
Okay, let me stop the share. There would have been more photos, but I can only use so many that we could have rights to. A lot of others were watermarked, and we can't show them on the show. We don't have the rights to show them. There wasn't a lot of time to get them, but the photos we have were absolutely freaking gorgeous.
Yeah, they're just beautiful. I mean, just from going out, just for myself when I go out camping and whatnot and being out in nature, I always just enjoy being out there. And when we went to Moab last year, just seeing like all of the beautiful rock formations and just being in that, it's amazing to see that stuff. So I get it.
It is. It really is.
So tell us about, do you know, like, what do we should talk about? What are we going to talk about, James?
There's a lot of stuff. I'm sure a lot of people might have questions about the Grand.
Do we want to do the trivia thing first?
I think we got a few minutes right there. I'd like to know your story, your first time paddling or rowing the Grand Canyon.
Oh, yeah.
I was finishing up my junior year at ASU.
Wait, ASU? Wait a second, you went to Arizona State. You went to Arizona State University?
Yeah. I moved to Arizona to go to ASU as a junior, and I was just finishing up my junior year, and I was just getting ready to go into finals, and I got this call from some people that I had kayaked with up in Northern California on the American River, which was kind of like my home river. And they said that they were going to do a Grand Canyon trip, and the person who was going to go along as the cook had canceled off at the last minute. And they wanted to know if I would be able to come and kayak and then also be the cook for the group. So it was 9 guys who were 8 other men kayakers, and we had to have a qualified boatman with us in 1969, and that was somebody who came from a raft that we rented from a company in Phoenix. So we had 9 kayakers and we had a rafter. And it was going relatively well. I was doing the cooking, and we were all doing the kayaking, and then the boatman was rowing all of our gear down on the raft. And he and our trip leader got into a knockdown, drag out fight. There was some alcohol involved in that. And we separated them, not me, I was cooking, but the rest of the guys separated them and basically sent them to their tents. And our boatman packed up in the middle of the night and hiked out. There's a trail going out up Tanner. So we're sitting there with 9 kayaks and a raft and 9 of us. And the other 8 people looked at me and said, "You're going to be rowing that raft." And I go, "I've never rowed a raft before." And they said, "You are now." And I'm going, how about we take turns? And they said, "No, you're going to be rowing the raft." And so I just went, this doesn't sound really fair. Rowing a raft is a lot harder because it's got a ton worth of gear in it than paddling a 56-pound kayak down the river. So I ended up rowing the raft down, and we took 2 days from Tanner to get down to Phantom Ranch, at which point I pretty much threw a real hissy fit and said, "Look, I didn't sign up for this. I will hike out if someone doesn't take over rowing this raft, or we're gonna take turns. We can all learn to row this raft." Meanwhile, from there, I've gone through Hance Rapid, which is one of the biggies. I've gone through Grapevine and Sockdolliger and 3 or 4 more really good class rapids to get down to Phantom Ranch there. And I had no trouble with it. I mean, it's pretty intuitive if you know how to read the water. So someone else said, "Okay, well, I'll take it over for the next day." So we went on down, and he flipped the raft in Horn Rapid. So it took us about 3 hours to get the raft over to side and get it turned back up, get everything dried out, and then to go on down to a place called, we went down to Granite Rapid and camped there that night, and finished getting things dried out. And they all kind of talked me into going ahead and taking it because they figured that I was doing a better job than anyone else probably would. So I flipped it at Bedrock, but I didn't flip it any other time. So I figure if I got through the entire canyon with just one flip, that was on my first trip, that was pretty darn good. So I was pretty happy with that. So we were talking before about the rating class on the river. Major rivers normally are rated from 1 to 10, and an 11 being a rapid that's considered 11 is considered unrunnable. Some rivers are rated 1 to 5, with 6 being an unrunnable one. Grand Canyon is rated on a 1 to 10. Then there are 2 10s on there, and then there are a whole bunch of 8, 7, 8s, and 9s, which are all big water, and some's bigger than other, and some of it's different. If you have high water or if you have low water, some of the rapids get more technical at low water, some get more technical at high water. Sometimes at high water, it washes some rapids out. Sometimes it makes them look like, "Oh, I'm going to die here today." And it just is, you're really scared when you go in, and you're really grateful when you finish with the rapid. So.
Okay, but now we got to go back to the fact that you went to ASU. I went to ASU. And we're fellow alumni.
Yeah, it's a wonderful school. I love it.
I'm sure I put up this background because I'm trying to get more sharp.
Yay!
Yes,
go Sun Devils!
If I put
my
up,
gosh, you're my best friend now.
if I put up NAU, Svea would be frying me with her eyes.
Oh yeah. So did you hear that we totally whipped the rivalry game?
Did.
It was 70-7. We creamed them. We're
this year, yay team.
Yeah.
Very good. I was
my fellow alumni member, my friend, she called me. She's like, "Hey, Svea, did you watch the football game?" I'm like, "No." "Yeah, we did so good. You should watch it."
Well, at least the show didn't go Disney all of a sudden this week.
I'm sorry. I just had to bring that up because I was like, "Wait, what? You went to ASU?"
James, we're going to get you a Sparky.
You're going to give me a what?
Arizona State University alumni do amazing things.
Yes.
Only if I can get you something from Mariachi Polytechnic Pro University, make benefit great nation and taco stand.
We're going to get you a Sparky outfit.
You get to get
does it have real sparks? Or does it make real sparks?
That's Sparky, the mascot of he's Sparky. A little devil.
Not interested unless it makes real sparks.
He's a little devil.
Well, according to Santa, I'm a big pain.
Nice.
I'm going back to the taco background.
You have my other one. Let me show you my other
No,
one.
not Nicolas Cage.
Nicholas, see, that's secretly what James wants, you guys. Order him a Nicolas Cage pillowcase. That's what he really wants, guys.
50% off at
He
dancingbearindiantrader.com.
told me during the non part of the show, he said, I want the Nicolas Cage pillow. I just am too embarrassed to say I want it.
Well, let's see.
Make it happen, guys. Make it happen.
Available
Make
at Dancing
it
Bear and Dean
happen.
Trader. 100% off.
I just think that's hilarious. Awesome.
Complimentary puppy.
Yeah.
Why'd you turn off your camera?
Oh wait, what? My camera were turned off?
Yes.
Why did my camera turn off?
Because you better not be going Disney.
No,
Nope.
I just changed it to another screen in my
Changed it to,
awesome football stadium.
Arizona State.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, I'm on the powwow committee for the ASU powwow, and we had our powwow at the stadium.
Nice.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like, there's some learning curve that we have to fix for the next years that we do it, but ASU's really stepped behind our powwow, and they're like putting us in their crown jewel location on campus. So
Nice.
very exciting. Okay.
Santa came on and it says James poor baby on Facebook. Well, I'm going to try to redeem myself by simply saying Roadhouse.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So
Oh, we do have a question right now. What is the Susie 2's dry weight?
We've never really measured her, but we measured a lot of the material we put into her, and we think she weighs about 625 pounds. She can carry up to about 1,200 pounds of gear, and there's room for that in all of her hatches. So the 625 pounds plus 1,200 pounds is probably close to 1,800 pounds that we're rowing down the river. Fortunately, you've got a river that's running at 4 miles an hour, and that helps a lot.
Gotcha. I got to say it. How much of that's personal gear and stuff that you pile in your canoe that you're normally going like this, looking over to paddle?
Well,
I gotta go there.
When you're doing, yeah, I know. When you're doing whitewater, everything really gets put away or tied down. So I don't have room for like water carriers, the 5-gallon water jugs in that. So those are out in the footwell for the passenger and in the footwell for the rower as well. But everything else is put away in hatches, and we pack the hatches pretty well. When I go out with that and with my group, we normally do an awful lot of dehydrating of the food that we use. So I usually have some cooking gear and then a lot of the dry weight food in mine.
James is like the master food dehydrator.
No, just got a little experience. Matter of fact, before we started the show, I had to get some pineapple off the dehydrator because I got another trip coming.
I've got pineapple going right now and green chilies.
Gotcha. Tomorrow we're doing some more bananas for another trip coming up. Okay. There are so many damn fun stories you got from the ditch, which is another name that runners have for the Grand Canyon for y'all. Also got to point out, if you heard the term boatman, that's a rower. That's just the old Grand Canyon goes off the, correct me if I'm wrong, goes off the old school names.
Yes.
We're running like things like terms like boatman. There's one because the kiddies have gone to bed a little bit more. Can you tell the story of the kayakers that you saw were scouting some rapids that were, let's just say it's just the skirt story?
Oh, yeah, I know exactly the one you mean. I was doing a solo hike in about 1986, and I went down the Hermit Trail and was going to come out at out the Bright Angel Trail. So it was mostly on the Tonto. And I camped one night at Hermit and then went down and camped one night at Hermit Rapid, and then came back up and hiked over to Granite, and then hiked over to Monument and hiked down to Granite. And I was down there, and I was there all by myself for about a day and a half, and it was just a ton of fun. These kayakers came in, and I'd been sitting it was late October, and so it was kind of fun to sit in the sun. I was sitting over next to a rock, And these kayakers came over. I heard their voices when they landed, and they were up on some rocks scouting the rapid. Now, they were wearing their spray deck, which goes over the coaming of the kayak, but they didn't have any bathing suit bottoms on. So I'm sitting there looking at all these guys with these spray decks on and bare butts, basically. And so I just kind of stood up and said, "Hi, it's going to be fun to watch you go through the rapid." And they all scurried back over to their boats and then went racing down the water. So it was a ton of fun, but there were some very nice bottoms going by.
You laugh about that one. You give me crap about a hockey mask on the river.
You're right. It's a Jason mask on the river with a slasher and a cape.
I know,
Sometimes
right?
a cape, but that's if I'm playing a superhero. I dress in costumes on the river, folks. Maybe they're not costumes. Maybe this is
a lot of us dress in costumes on the river for various things. Yes.
Oh yeah, I love seeing the picture of Izzy Colette from Boulder's a mutual friend of ours, dressed in the bunny costume from a Halloween on the Grand.
Yes.
Classic.
Yep.
Okay. There's some people that there may be some, I know some things about the canyon rivers, a ton more, but sometimes I wonder if we should be challenged.
So I have some trivia questions. You guys want to try?
Yay!
Let's
This is
try it.
going to be fun.
Okay.
I got my thinking food, Cracker Jacks.
Okay. All right. Okay, guys, trivia questions. Okay, let me hide these floating meeting controls.
Let me take a drink of my Pepsi
I know. Let's see.
while we're not after sponsors.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm waiting for that one thing to disappear. Okay. So trivia questions. First one.
All right.
Oh, shoot. No. Hold on.
No?
No. Hold on. Hold on.
No means yes?
We
No.
already talked about that.
Yeah.
Well, 20 no's and a yes is still a yes.
Yeah. No, I'm going to start over. Hold on a second.
Okay. No pressure, Savannah.
Because,
We're
no,
live.
because I
No
don't want,
pressure.
I want you guys to get the good, I put that one at the very end because she talked about it. So it's like, oh, shoot. And it was stuck on that one. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I will share this now. I fixed it.
No pressure, live TV.
I know, I'm really good at this. Okay, so let me hide my meeting controls because it just covers all the questions. Okay, go away. Okay, so archaeology has evidence of ancient kayaking. About how old are the oldest known kayaks and who built them?
Well, it depends on how you want to build them. A lot of the Eskimos and people who lived up in northern Canada and Iceland, all the way around, and Russia and things like that, used ash wood frames and then put skins over them and then oiled them with whale blubber so that they were waterproof. And they would go out and hunt in those. And there's some evidence that they were doing this 2,000 years ago. Down in South America, there are a lot of people who made reed boats and going back 3,000 and 4,000 years. And some of them are in kind of looking like a sit-on-top kayak. So
Okay.
the kayak word actually comes from an Inuit word that means small boat.
I'm just going to say Inuit at least a couple thousand years.
Okay,
Yeah.
Helen, do you want to see what the answer is? You're going to be surprised.
I want to see the answer.
Okay.
Inuits. And then it says North America is about 4,000 years old, built by North American Inuits, and says the North American Inuits stretched animal skins over driftwood to make some of the earliest known kayaks. In addition, there's a beautiful example of a Hawaiian kayak on the
And
first floor.
they were, I don't know how far back there are any Hawaiian or South Pacific Islander kayaks, but they also had a tradition of going to sea and going huge distances and taking all their food with them and maybe taking 6 weeks to go between islands. So the people who used those small boats were pretty amazing. But it's got a long history, and it's an incredible experience to be one with the river in a kayak.
Okay, next corporate trivia question. What decades? So you have 2 decades you can pick Did whitewater rafting companies start to offer commercial rafting trips?
The Grand Canyon started in the 1960s.
Okay.
There were a couple of people, Georgie White and her partner Harry Allison, were taking some people down in the 50s using rafts that they got from Army surplus stores. And the early rafts were used as bridge supports during World War II when they were trying to get armies across all the rivers in Europe and out in the Far East in Asia.
Wow. Okay, let's see what it says. In the 1960s and 70s, the popularity of whitewater rafting only grew as groups of friends and families headed out for river trips throughout the country.
Yep, I started with my dad, so yeah, it's definitely a family.
Yeah. Here's the next one. What are the top 5 whitewater rapid rivers in the USA? Helen, you know this.
I do. I know that. I love the Colorado. It's one of my absolute favorite rivers, and I'm perfectly happy on that. The Green River up on the Yampa and through Dinosaur National Monument and down through Desolation and Gray Canyon is some
Lots
of the
of
best
mosquitoes.
whitewater around. The Rogue up in Oregon, the Salmon up in Idaho, the Owyhee in Oregon. There's the New and the Golly back in West Virginia. There's the Ocoee down in Georgia. There are whitewater rivers in a lot of states, and a lot of them are just an incredible experience.
Okay, let's see what the survey says. Arkansas River, Colorado, Salmon River, Idaho, Colorado River, Arizona, Rogue River, Oregon, Golly River, West Virginia.
Right. All rivers I've been on, which is fun.
You know what's really interesting? It's Arkansas River, but it's in Colorado.
Yes.
It's the Colorado River, but it's in Arizona.
There's a lot of rivers that start in the Rockies that go to other states.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
It's like St. Louis and
Some rivers are named by the people who were there. Some are named, and Colorado's named, it was the Grand, actually. Grand Junction was named for the Grand River that went through it. And the Colorado state legislature got the Congress to the United States to pass a law saying that the name of the river would be the Colorado. Normally when two rivers come together, which the Colorado and the Green do, the river that's the longest is the one that gives its name to it, and the Green is 400 miles longer than the Colorado. But so most people would think of it as that it should be called the Green, but the U.S. Congress decided that it would be named as the Colorado, and so it was. So
okay, cool. All right, so let's go to the next one. When was the first rubber raft for river exploring invented?
We talked about that earlier, and it was in the 1800s, which I think is pretty amazing.
Yes, okay. In the 1840s, I think that's Lieutenant John Fremont,
right,
and Horace H. Day invented what later became the first ever rubber raft. The purpose of these rafts was so the two men could explore the Platte River.
Fremont was an explorer, and he was in the Army for a long time. He also was, when Arizona became a territory, Arizona and New Mexico became a territory, and the territorial headquarters was in Prescott. He was our first territorial governor in Arizona.
Oh, wow.
Fremont did a lot of surveying, but the guy had an ego bigger than Alaska.
Pretty much, yeah.
Of course, a lot of those oil explorers back then had huge heads on there.
Yeah. Well, you know, most of the cottonwood trees we have along our rivers it's called a Fremont cottonwood, and that's the genus. That's the common name of it, is a Fremont cottonwood.
Well,
a lot of stuff named for him.
Okay, let's see. A whitewater kayak has a turned up bow to allow it to lift over rough water. What is that called?
It's called rocker when you've got a bow and sometimes a stern as well that go up.
Dagger.
No, a dagger is the dagger is a name of a type of a brand of kayak, but it's called rocker when it goes up like that.
Oh, so this was wrong.
That was wrong. Dagger is a brand of kayak. My favorite kayak actually is called an RPM Max, and it's made by Dagger.
Oh, okay.
So,
they're not made anymore, are they? They break the mold on that one?
The RPM Maxes aren't made anymore. You're right.
I think so.
I have 5 of them because I wear one out about every 5 years. And my father skied until he was 87, and I intend to kayak until I'm 90. And so I have an RPM max for every 5 years I have left to make it to 90. Okay.
Oh, don't forget the saying that we're on this earth a limited number of days, and days spent on the water are not taken from this allotment.
It's not about the days you have, it's about the time that you have that takes your breath away.
Yeah, but I like to say that it's days on the water, not taking this from allotment, which means somebody's going to live forever.
They don't count. I know. Why would you feather a paddle? Okay, if you have a paddle and you have 2 flat blades that are like this, if you feather it, it means you're turning one usually about 45 degrees, so it's like this. And when you're pulling on this one, instead of pushing this one flat into what usually is a headwind, you're cutting it with that, and it makes it easier to paddle. You're not forcing your way down. So it's pretty nice to feather a paddle. A lot of people do it, yeah, to reduce wind resistance.
Feathering puts 2 blades of the paddle at an angle to each other. This reduces air resistance as the paddle moves through the air on its way to the water.
Yep.
Okay, how about this one? According to a study by the American Whitewater Association, in terms of fatalities, whitewater rafting was safer than scuba diving, climbing, recreational swimming, and even bicycling. Is this true or false?
It's true. And most people who have problems on rafting, they die from something else, and they don't die in the water. They'll die from a heart attack because they had a heart disease, or they'll have a stroke out there, or they'll take a fall when they're on a hike and hit their head. And that's what usually causes fatalities, and injuries are normally caused getting on and off the boat and just not using care, or trying to climb over rocks that you're just not watching where you're stepping, and you step on something that's going to slide, or you step on something that's going to turn and twist your ankle.
James, did you really sneeze on purpose? Because that was the weirdest thing.
I sneezed. I thought I muted the mic.
You know what's funny? You sneezed and then it turned you on, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I'm like, look at it going, oh crap, I'm on, and it caught the sound.
Yeah. Okay.
Back to the show.
Thank you. That was fun.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to write that one place that I got the trivia question, because they're wrong.
This has been one of those few times that we ask guest trivia questions, and not only do they correct it, they know some of the people involved with the history of it.
Right. Yes.
And start telling you personal stories from the event.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm seeing one of my photographs that I tried to put up as my background that's behind this. Is there any way to get that one? Are you seeing that as well? Are you seeing something that looks like a canyon rim?
No, because you see it on your camera.
I see a wall.
Okay.
I see a chair. I see a lamp.
Okay. Okay.
Your house is your background. That's
yeah, well, this is a photograph. It actually is a photograph taken from the rim at Toro Weep down to Lava and Son of Lava Rapids. So
Svea, if you co-host Helen, she might be able to share the photo.
Do you know how to do that?
I don't have the slightest idea.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to spend a minute to do that, or
Can I share the screen? Is that it?
Yeah, I just made it so you could share the screen.
Okay. This is Cameron and Omar, and we're looking from 3,500 feet up at a place called Toro Weep, which is off the North Rim. And the rapid that's in the distance by about 4 miles at this point, that's Lava Rapid, which is the biggest rapid in Grand Canyon. It falls 37 feet from the top of the water down to where you end up on the end. And then there's another little rapid right below it, which is called Son of Lava. This is a pretty incredible rapid, and it's a 3-hour drive. It's 60 miles of dirt road and going over rocks and things like that to get out to this particular viewpoint off the North Rim. But it's a really pretty location.
Wow, that is so cool. That's a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
I love it. Maybe I can find a video of lava, but you mentioned Martin Litton earlier. I just think it's amazing the guy rode lava in a dory at 82 years old.
He rode lava in a dory in his 90s.
Into his 90s.
He has the record.
He just died like 7 or 8 years ago.
A few years.
About 7.
Yeah,
2014.
7 years ago. He yes, but he rode in the last trip when he was somewhere around between 93 and 95. And there are films about that. Kevin Fedarko or Pete McBride was along and took some pictures. John Blaustein was along and took some pictures of Martin rowing.
Martin's boat, put out by, I think, Oars.
Put out by Oars. There's a photograph of Martin's boat, and in there, one of the photographs is of him rowing the Susie 2, the same paint colors as mine, down one of the rapids, which happened to be crystal, but there's a photograph in that boat, a historical photograph video that was taken by John Blaustein.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that for our audience that when I say Martin's boat, that's actually the name of the documentary. About 20 minutes long, worth a watch. Bring a tear to your eye. You can learn something about Martin Lytton.
The incredible story on that one is that Martin wanted to name all of his stories for places that man had ruined. So the Portola boat that Keith Steele built for him, he renamed that Diablo Canyon, which was a nuclear reactor that was close to where he was in the Portola Valley in California. Music Temple was something that was buried, which is what the Susie 2 was renamed. That's one of the most beautiful places in Glen Canyon. It's buried in Lake Powell. The Flavel 2 became the Hetch Hetchy, which is the reservoir next to Yosemite that provides the water for San Francisco. And it's a canyon that's just as beautiful as Yosemite, but it's not one that we'll ever see. Glen Canyon Music Temple is coming out of Lake Powell. So there's a possibility that if you really want to go see the Music Temple where it is, you can see most of it. And at some point, if the water gets low enough, you'll be able to see everything that was there before they dammed Lake Powell.
Got plans, especially with the water sitting in Lake Powell with some of the new rapids coming out of Lower Cataract that have been buried for decades.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So
I remember to have conversations the rest of the audience can enjoy and understand.
Right. So yeah, the Grand Canyon is in layers. The bottom rocks down there in the inner gorge, the bedrock part of the inner gorge, go back 400 million years, and the upper layers, some of those are 1 or 2 million years ago. Some of the limestone layers up on the very top when it was under a shallow sea, which was one of the last layers. There are lots of other layers which you see in the mountains away from the canyon that are remnants of other layers that have eroded away either by water or by wind erosion over the last 100 million, 200 million years. It's an incredible place to be there and think that you're sitting on rocks there that have fossils that are 200 or 300 million years old.
Older than the dinosaurs in some cases on there. You still have Precambrian tracks and animal and stuff that's before the dinosaurs.
Yep.
That's very cool.
Okay, I think we can stop the share screen unless you got another photo here.
Okay, no, that's the only one I have in there.
I remember you posted that a few days ago. I had them stare at it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, very cool. That was a very cool picture. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh yeah.
You're
it's
welcome.
Just nice when you go to nature and you get just such an unusual picture that most people don't get.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That storm followed us back. We basically, I kept telling them that we were only going to be out there for another 5 or 6 minutes. Then we needed to walk back to the cars and start driving because there are several washes that go across the road. And if you start with a thunderstorm, you might be spending a day or two out there that you don't want to spend out there because the creek's running.
So people don't realize in Arizona, their way of dealing with drainage is to make a channel. They don't put pipes or anything. So a wash is literally a river whenever.
Yeah. Yeah, your road's a river. You're right. There's one section on this road where you're basically, there's a flat area that drains down the road, so it becomes a waterfall. And I definitely didn't
talk about
want
the
that.
drainage just down Diamond. And our internet froze a little bit.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't miss about Arizona is that in the rain, like in August during the monsoon, there'd be like crazy amounts of rain. And if so much rain, it floods everywhere, even on the city streets.
Yeah, it caught us 3 miles from the pavement, and there's a lot of red rock out there. So I had a white truck that literally was dark brown and red from all the dust on it. And they had a black truck, a black Jeep that was pretty much the same. That rainstorm just washed those cars perfectly. It was that hard. So beautiful area.
Just letting the audience know, okay, we're officially into overtime once we get past about 11 o'clock. Overtime as we take a majority of the audience questions. We try to relay what we can. So
Yes.
anybody that's got a question for Helen, email it into latenightcrafttalk@gmail.com or post right here on Facebook, which is where you get most of our questions anyways.
Yeah, so you guys feel free to ask questions. This is the place, this is the time where it kind of falls out of our
we have Maya says, yes, thank you for sharing that photo, Helen. Caroline Blackwood says, I could listen to Helen all day long.
Nice.
As a matter of fact, Helen's a really interesting background. I mean, she used to work at the Herb Museum doing some repairs. She is a prolific birder, which means bird watcher, as well as some other stuff.
She likes to take pictures.
A very accomplished photographer. I think we might have to ask you to come back a couple times in the future if you're good with that.
I can
just to share the birding or the photography.
Yeah. You know what? I would like it if you would come back and talk about birds.
Okay, we can do
and
that.
I would like it if you come and talk about photography, because the thing is, those two things, I mean, those are two whole show topics, really.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah. But the photography is a great way to capture things. And it's like many times, you know, people think, and like Helen and I have talked about this, people think if you have a fancy camera, you'll take perfect pictures. And it's really not that. It's the thing is when you take pictures, it's the eye. It's like being able to capture it with your eye, because that is what sets you apart.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. James, you want to say, Carolyn has a question.
All right, Carol Ann, you ask. Ooh, I want to know. And where? Okay. When is Helen's next river trip? When is your next river outing and where? When is your next river outing and where? Excuse me.
I'm guiding some people on the Topak Gorge on Monday, 3 days from now. And that's going to be from where the I-40 crosses, and it's going to be just a day trip. And I'm scouting for the Christmas bird count, which will happen on the 29th of December this year at Havasu National Wildlife Refuge. And I lead the on-water part of it in an 8-mile section of the river on the Colorado. We'll paddle 15 miles that day, but 8 miles of it will count birds at the same time.
Oh, that's fun.
Why don't you tell everybody the paddler's goal, the 100-night goal every year?
I didn't do it this year. I didn't come anywhere close.
None of us did it this year.
But in many years, my goal is to spend 100 nights of the 365 nights of a year on the river. And I've made it probably 8 or 9 years out of the last 17 that I've actually been in a tent or in a sleeping bag on the river or next to a river, camped next to a river, getting ready to get on it the next day. So it's kind of a goal. We drive a lot long distances to get canoes and kayaks out for customers. And so there are quite a few times when we'll take the boats out the night before, and then I'll camp at the edge of a river waiting for my customers to get there the next morning, or camp with them after they get in at night when they plan on leaving the next morning. So
we have
I try very hard to do there are a couple years, like the year I turned 70, I was on the river for 100 days that year. I personally was on the river for 100 days that year. Gotcha.
We have an email question in. Do you guide on the river?
On the Colorado, on private trips, I have been the qualified boatman on a couple of trips, but I guide on our section of the river from Hoover Dam down to Morales Dam if asked. And I've guided in Idaho, and I've guided in a couple of other rivers as well, mostly privately. I've only guided on the San Juan commercially.
So when you said you have customers that you're waiting for, so is it that you plan trips for people or what?
My company basically works mostly with school groups, church groups, and Boy Scout groups. And then individuals that want to go are private groups that aren't affiliated with Boy Scouts, churches, or schools. And we basically, we're a livery service. So we show up with canoes and kayaks, whatever they want. And at the spot that they want to get on the river, we unload the boats, we put it there, and we wave goodbye to them and go sniff, I wish I were going. And then we drive the trailers around to where they're getting off and then pick up the boats and then take them back to where their cars are. Or we work with other services who will drive their cars around to where they're getting off. And then we take our boats and go home when they get off the water. And sometimes we'll do as many as 300 trips a year for people. And some of those are one-person trips, and 1 or 2 of them are 300-person trips. We work with another company that has a large number of canoes like we do. And we work with a company called Naturalist Large that puts on science camps for private school students. And that's kind of fun. That's what my October is driving canoes around spots on the river, like 9,000 miles in 1 month.
That is crazy. 300 people at one time.
Yep.
Oh my God.
I've helped a couple, some almost that size. A couple times when you really need help, and I'll come in and help. It's a lot of damn canoes.
That's a lot of people. I used to do a swing dance event, and we had 300 people on Saturday night once. And I'm just like, God, that's a lot of people. 300 canoes. That's a lot.
We put 2 people in a canoe, so it's 100 for 300 kids. It's 150 canoes. I give them 80, and the other company gives them 70, and then we switch. I give them 70, and the other company gives them 80. But that means you have to take 80 canoes off of the trailer and put them on the ground, put paddles in them and life vests in them, and then you have to pick up all that gear at the end. Right.
That is
a lot of canoes to lift up.
So
I've had to help Helen a couple of times where we've had like 60 canoes.
Yeah.
I'll come over and help her. She's a friend, and I'm primarily a kayaker, so I call this the canoer's revenge, or I'm in canoe hell, or kayaker hell, because I'm having to work with canoes and I'm not on the water.
So
damn it, Helen.
What's the largest group you've ever taken care of?
300 people.
Okay, because that's pretty large.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Sometimes it's like herding cats.
Yeah.
Do you have a website or anything that people can reach you at if they want to try to do a river trip? Or
Desert River Kayak will get you to our website, and then our telephone number is 928-201-7221. We're changing some numbers on our webpage. That'll be done after this weekend.
Okay, we'll add this to the show notes because we usually do a replay later in the week.
Yeah,
we'll do a watch party.
We're gonna add all of the different contact information into the details of
sometimes we don't find it out till during the show, so then we follow up on our posts about this.
Yeah.
We'll get that information added.
We also do a lot of answering of questions for people who are interested in Grand Canyon trips. Like the next lottery is coming up in February. If anyone wants to try to throw their hat in the ring to see if they get a private trip, we can certainly talk to people about some strategies for maybe getting a lottery, getting a permit, and then how to go about picking the people to go with you, and then how to outfit for it, and then how to actually get yourself down to Lee's Ferry and then get in your boats and leave. And we do a lot of that. And so Grand Canyon Private Boaters Association has got a Facebook page. Mm-hmm. And also a website, and people can reach me through that.
We have a couple of questions right now. Svea, do you want to take the next one?
Sure. Have you gotten caught in torrential rain while rowing, like being on the river?
Yes.
This will be a good one.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Tell us, how do you deal with that?
Well, in many cases, like if you're on the Grand Canyon, and at the time of the year I normally go, which is the spring or the fall, I have friends. Izzy, that James talked about before, is on a Grand Canyon trip right now, and we haven't had any rain. So I'm
going to say for the record right quick, I hate Izzy till she gets out of the canyon.
Well, she's coming off on the 22nd, so you only have a few more days. But if you're out there and you're on a boat, you have what's called a dry suit on, and it's got a gasket at your neck to keep water from getting in. It's got a gasket. Yeah. gasket around your wrist, and it's got a great big huge zipper that goes across, and you've got booties on it, and it's waterproof.
James, you want to go? James is going to model for it.
You want me to go grab a dry suit, show it right quick?
Put it on. Put it on. Show us.
Oh, hell no. But I'll show
Put it on. James, come put it on.
That'll take
It's hard to get into. You know, that would take up a long time. You know, that's a process.
But you know what? It'd be really funny to watch him struggle to get into it.
You're right. And it's, you know, it is a ton of fun. It takes a while to do it, but it's, the thing is that keeps you dry. So
it's one of the more expensive, but really necessary pieces of personal gear.
Right, exactly. Anyway, but the thing about that is if you're wearing a dry suit and you're in a torrential rain, it doesn't matter because you're not going to be wet on the inside of it. This is going to keep it off. It's got booties on, and it's got a gasket at the double gasket at the wrist and at the necks. And then it's got a great big, huge waterproof.
That gasket, this thing will choke you if you don't get it right.
Yeah.
So do you like have an umbrella?
Front zipper.
Most of us would wear a hat or a waterproof or a whitewater helmet that's got a little bill on it, which will keep it off your face. Or in that one that James showed, I had a cloth hat that went 2 inches out around my helmet for shade when I was rowing Gneiss Rapid there on the first one that he showed. So, you know, you have, that's got a little lip on it, and that'll keep, keep some rain off your face.
So yeah, James, if you like wore that at Walmart.
My mama says I'm not allowed to leave the house without wearing that whitewater helmet. Dry suits, I mean, built-in socks.
Nice.
Well, they keep you dry. It's kind of a weird feeling to be in the water and be dry-ish.
Yeah.
Except your head.
Dry suits are usually cost between $500 and about $1,100, depending upon who's making them.
And if people are wondering how you do it when you're in one for a while, it's called the relief zipper for a reason.
Yes. And ones for women have a relief zipper on the butt, so you know you can sit down.
Yeah, there's one.
They're an incredible piece of equipment, and I love my dry suit. I take really good care of it.
Oh, but God, you got to watch those neck gaskets, or your head's turning purple.
You're right. Well, they make them tight in case the person in it really has a thin neck. And so there are little rings in the rubber that are a little bit, so you actually can take a pair of fingernail scissors and you can cut off a ring, put it on and see if you can breathe better that way. Cut off another ring until you've got it down to where it's tight enough that's going to keep the water out if you're thrown into the water, if your boat flips over, but it's not so tight that it's going to cause you to black out. So, and then also a whole bunch of us will sit there in the boats with our fingers between it as well, pulling it off so we can breathe. So yeah.
When I first got one, I definitely stuck the neck, expanded the gasket just enough with a coffee can.
Yeah.
Stuff it around there, and still occasionally do and try going nope, especially during winter paddling.
Yeah, especially during winter paddling.
Ocean. Okay.
Yeah, you have to dress for the conditions that you're in, because if you end up in 45-degree water, you have a very little time to get out before you're going to be impaired with hypothermia.
Yep.
That's called rig to flip and dress to swim. So.
Yeah, hypothermia is not a good thing when you're going canoeing and kayaking or water rafting. That's really bad.
No, it really isn't.
Fun story here is there used to be this event called the Bullhead River Regatta up till a few years ago.
Yeah, the River Regatta.
Huh?
The River Regatta. Mm-hmm.
River Regatta. Bullhead City River Regatta. And you'd have like 40,000 people going down the Colorado River in float tubes a day. And this happened at the beginning of August. It's hot. And I have never treated so many people for hypothermia in one day.
Yeah.
In August in Bullhead. Because the water's in the 70s, people jump out, start floating, going, I'm going to cool down. But, they're in the water for like an hour and a half. It's a shock to the body to come out. You jump in from the heat, and they get hypothermic, especially ones that are extremely drunk.
Yep.
That is crazy. Like, I would never think that someone would get hypothermia in the 70s.
No, well, it's dropping your body temperature and it's relative. So if you're in a 70-degree water, cold water is a very good way of changing your body temperature. And if you're sitting in 70-degree water, you could get down to where you're below 75 or 95, and that's going to make you totally impaired. You're not going to think straight, and you're going to be shivering, and your teeth are going to be chattering, and you're going to be shaking.
Okay.
So the very first summer I was up there, we had a 117-degree day. Now this year we had 424-degree days. But that 117-degree day, I went down, I was waiting for my last canoe to come in that was coming in around 8 o'clock at night. Some people had been camping at Park and Wabi, and they had two Samoyeds with them from Alaska. And so they wanted a place where they could take the dogs out, and they rented one of our canoes. They were going to come in at 8. It was in June, and it was still light. And so I just went down, I parked the trailer on the boat launch ramp, and I had a lawn chair, and I was going to sit in the water. I lasted about 3 minutes before my teeth started chattering so much I thought I was going to break a tooth. So I had to get out and warm up and then go back and sit in the water for another couple minutes. And I was doing that in and out of the water for almost an hour before they finally showed up. So it was too hot to be out on shore, and it was too cold to be in the river. So you just kind of had to work with it.
Oh, it's a real shock when you go to like Willow Beach below Hoover Dam. It's only about 12 miles below Hoover Dam, because that water is coming out of the bottom of Lake Mead, several hundred feet down. So it's a constant, what, 52 degrees, 57?
Between 52 and 54.
Yeah, between 54 and it's only 12 miles down from Hoover. So that water is cold.
Yes.
And you go to Willow Beach. I've been out there with Helen where it's like, 112 out. And you get in the water going, big shock. We have a question. So you wear this gear every time you row in rainy season? Yep.
I wear it anytime when I'm on really cold water, which is anytime I'm on the Grand Canyon, I'm going to have it. I've worn a dry suit in the summertime. I've worn one in June, and I get cold really easily. And if I go in that water, and I've swam a few times, I wanted, and it really is a shock. Even wearing a dry suit, it's a shock. If you were totally wet, it would be a real shock. And then it's just part of my normal equipment. You can do a dry suit, which is a one-piece suit. You can also do a splash jacket or a dry top and a pair of dry pants, and they make those as well. And I have those as well, but that tends to get cold water in at your waistline. And I'll wear that in more milder temperatures when I'm paddling. And then in the summertime, I'm very fair skinned. So I'm normally in a long pair of cotton pants and a long cotton shirt and a great big huge floppy hat and a pair of gloves and boots that come up to my knees. So the only thing you're going to be able to recognize me normally is my chin, because everything else is covered. So I don't use the dry top when I'm paddling, usually in the summertime, but I sure use it in the winter and the fall and spring.
We have another question. Do you have a book out on your experiences or adventures?
No, I'm working on some essays right now on some of the events, and at some point I might have a book out, but there's not doing that now. I'm working on a project right now to do identification cards for common river birds along the rivers in the Southwest and the Pacific Northwest.
Okay. We're getting toward we're going long on this show. Usually we like to go overtime till about 11:15, 11:20. This is one of those shows. We've had shows where we go to almost 1 a.m. We don't do those anymore because we need to get up. You need to get up. But just for anybody's further reading, because damn you, folks, I've known Helen almost 10 years. We're good friends. And you just sit back and listen, because even after all this, there's still like, I've done a few trips where I've been Helen with, she's been stuck with me for a couple of weeks. I'll term it that way. The truth in advertising there. And all right. Too much honesty there, Helen. All right. And you still learn a lot of stuff, but is there any books or anything that we recommend for anybody to read about the Grand, or anything we've covered tonight?
Well, I think Kevin Fedarko's book, the Emerald Mile, is an incredible adventure story. Kevin's one of those writers that he just, you can hardly put the book down. It's just so amazing. The Colorado River is in real trouble. We are taking more water out than is in it. And so there are Kevin and another incredible photographer by the name of Pete McBride, who's another favorite of mine, they did where they walked the Grand Canyon from Lee's Ferry all the way out to Pierce Ferry in 5 trips. And they got into trouble on the first one and almost had to be rescued. And then they kind of changed up what their packs were and went in a little bit later in the year. And they had a lot of people in the hiking community that were helping them. Pete's book, Between River and Rim, is out now, and it's available on Amazon. And it is one of the most incredible photographic essays of the Grand Canyon that I've ever seen. John Blaustein's book, Hidden Canyon, has been my absolute favorite book since the 1970s. I was lucky enough to meet John in 2014 after I did my trip, and he's become quite a friend. And the third edition is a digital edition of his original photographs with a few extra ones thrown in. And it's a great story of, for any of you who knew Edward Abbey, the great Southwestern writer who died several years ago. He was on a trip, and his story about a trip with John Blaustein as his boatman is in there, and it's just a pretty incredible one. And there are just a ton of other books that are out there about the Grand Canyon that are incredible, but those in particular are ones that I really like, especially Emerald Mile. I've got that on my Kindle, and if I'm sitting someplace, like if I get caught in traffic in something and I know I'm going to be sitting there for 20 minutes, I'll pull up the Emerald Mile and start wherever it was that I left off, and I know I'm going to get 20 minutes of a really good read.
How about any other books on the lower Colorado River? Because that's more particular where we definitely have a mutual love right there and interest and concern. What was it? Running Dry by John Waterman?
Running Dry by John Waterman, and Pete McBride was the photographer on that. And he also did a book on the Colorado River. Running Dry was published by National Geographic, and it's the story of their trip all the way in Colorado from the headwaters of the Colorado down. And Pete did a lot of photography. He's also a pilot. So a lot of his work is from the air. So there's a lot of really incredible photographs of what we're doing to the Colorado River and by just our building our houses and building our golf courses and farming. But just the small ones, there are some incredible photographs out there on the whole area. But it's really
for anybody that is interested, John Waterman's book is legendary for river runners. It's a great read on the lower Colorado River. Somebody's in that book. Somebody's on the show tonight.
Chuckle.
In that book.
What? You're in the book?
Well, I helped Jonathan I helped John through around the dams. So I showed up with a security guard at Davis Dam when he was coming. We launched him at Hoover Dam. And then when he showed up at Davis Dam 63 miles later, 3 days later, and his great big huge Prion kayak that probably weighed 200 pounds after he got out of it with all of his gear, because he had everything packed in it to go on down. Basically, I brought the cart out, and the security guard and he and I lifted this fully loaded boat up and over this shoulder high fence to get it out on the roadway. And then we walked it on down, and he launched it and went on down. And there was an inn that he could walk to called the Gretchen Inn, about a mile and a half below Hoover Dam. And he spent the night there and went on down. And I helped move his car down. I helped get him around other things. That's one of the things we do. When James does his trip in the fall, we do logistics for him to get around dams, and then to do pickups and to deliver Pepsis to the edge of the river or water or things like that, whatever he needs.
We have a tradition.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Someplace.
Oh, it is. It's so funny because if I know he's coming in, and if I'm down there doing another trip for someone, like he had a water bladder that broke one time, or if I know where he's coming in, I'll put a Pepsi at the end of the boat launch ramp and then go up and sit on the top and wait for him. So he comes in and he sees the Pepsi and he knows I'm there.
You know what he likes too? He likes double dark chocolate Oreos.
I know.
Anything dark chocolate M&Ms, lots of other stuff. There's one time where I was coming in, our mutual friend Izzy and I were shooting the river back in 2017 or what year it was. And Helen, she meets us at a place called Catherine's Landing. She's got the Pepsi right here. Izzy is a nut for Diet Coke. We both pick our respective spots. She launches the next morning. We make it 10 miles down. Helen goes to this place called Rotary Park at the bottom of Bullhead. And she's wants to shoot some pictures, and she puts out a Pepsi over here, a Dr. Pepper over here, and Izzy and I are paddling along. Is that Helen? Oh yeah, look, drinks. And we right there in those spots, because I think she wanted to get a picture of us right there doing that. So she knew just the right bait to catch those two kayakers going down the river.
Yeah.
It's become a funny tradition now.
Yep.
All right.
It's fun.
John Waterman, he friended me last couple years ago. I totally want to get this guy on the show, but it's hard to get hold of.
He just did an incredible atlas of all the national parks. That is
talk about it on his Facebook posts.
That's just an amazing book, and it's won all sorts of awards. So he is a technical climber. He's written about Everest. He's written about the Northwest. The Northwest Passage was things that people who were in sailing ships wanted to go from the Pacific to the Atlantic over Canada, up in the Arctic Circle. And a lot of times, there are a lot of winters, it used to be anyway, where there was ice up there. So you had ice floes, or you had, it wasn't passable. He did it in 5 summers in a kayak, doing the Northwest Passage. And he's got a book out there on that as well, which he's an incredible writer for adventures. He's an incredible writer about climbing safety. He's written about fatalities and other things.
I've talked to Svea quite a bit about him. There's 2 people we'd love to get on the show. For me, it would be Tom. Damn it, we just said his name. I'm like blanking all of a sudden.
Waterman.
John Waterman. Thank you, John Waterman. For me, it's John Waterman. For Svea, it's
Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton, who played Wesley Crusher on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Wouldn't that be so cool?
That would get the hell out about too.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so people, you need to figure out how we can get Will Wheaton on the show.
And John Waterman.
Be my lifelong dream to have Will Wheaton as a guest on our show.
And John Waterman.
I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd ever meet Will Wheaton, ever.
And it may be over Zoom, but for me, it's John Waterman. Okay. All right, everybody, it's been a great show. Helen, we've already had a couple people ask you if you can be coming back and talk about your photography, talk about the birding.
I think we should schedule it.
I'm sure you'll be cool. We'll talk about having you back
I can do that
in the next few months if you're cool with that.
Yeah.
Yep. I can do that.
Hey, James, so what's coming up next week?
What's coming up next week? Why, Svea, how interesting that you asked that.
Yeah? Am I psychic?
Why, next week we have a special edition. As we get up toward Christmas, we have next week's show is Holiday Shopping Guide.
Yay, team.
Yes. So we actually are going to get in contact with a lot of our previous guests and see if they have any holiday specials they want to offer to our viewers and whatnot, because next Saturday, December 19th, is the last day they're guaranteeing Christmas delivery for priority mail.
Depending on which part of the country you're in.
Yeah.
Family, yeah. It's the last day.
Yeah. So it's just something. Oh, Kitty, is that your kitty cat?
This is Bella.
Oh, kitty cat. I can't see her face.
She's a really pretty gray tiger. Let's see. We'll turn her around. How's that?
Oh, pretty. Oh.
Yeah. She was coming up to try to climb in my lap, so I just kind of snagged her.
Oh. You know what? There may be Christmas tinners. You never know. And you know what, James? Someone bought a Thanksgiving dinner from our website. I didn't think it would happen, but someone bought one last week.
Cool.
Yeah.
We're going to have a couple of other guests. We're going to have some surprise guests we'll have in the show, as well as the shopping guide, some other surprises we build up to our Christmas Day episode.
Yes, we're going to have our show on Christmas Day. That's how dedicated we are to being here every week for you guys.
Should I say where I'm going to be at probably?
Sure, go for it.
I'm going to try because it failed me on Thanksgiving because some other stuff came up and reality hit, but I'm aiming to be on the river on Christmas, doing a 4-day trip. And I will be at a place either called Gold Strike Canyon or Arizona Hot Springs during the show. It'll be damn cold down there, so I'll probably be in the lower 30s, upper 20s by the time of night. I'll be going by a fire huddling, but I will be on the show in the middle of nowhere. Svea will have to run media that night.
18.
So I apologize in advance.
I'm going to try. Best laid plans, though. 2020, yes. You never know. All right, we good?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, everybody.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you, Helen, for joining us.
Thank you guys. It's been a lot of fun.
Helen, been a damn pleasure. Stick around.
We look forward to see you back again. And yeah.
She froze.
So anyway, guys, make sure that you follow our Facebook pages, follow our Instagrams, our YouTube channels, subscribe. Hey guys, subscribe down here.
Follow us. We'll tag our business as well as Helen's business if you're interested in anything on the Colorado River or booking a trip or anything.
Yes.
Or even learn more about the Grand Canyon. Everybody, this has been
have a good weekend.
December 11th edition of Late Night Craft Talk.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, Helen, this is what
now we must dance to the music.
We get to dance to this now, Helen. This is what we dance.
Yay, team.
Okay.
And oh, ain't he cute?
Aww.
That's the